Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. So in this episode on how you can become a full stack developer, I will be introducing you to one of the web stack tools called HTML. And an HTML is an hypertext markup language used for building websites. So an HTML is actually a markup language and not a programming language that compiles code or interprets code. It is a markup language that deals majorly with text and some other similar contexts. So an HTML, this tool is maintained by the W3C, which is the World Wide Web Consortium, and the W3C makes regular updates to this tool. So an HTML also consists of components or elements or objects, and I'll be explaining them here. So the first question is, what are the HTML tags? What are the HTML elements and attributes? So the HTML tags are tags that we use in building websites, and this is what they look like. So we have the doc type. We have the doc type that has these attributes HTML. We have the HTML tag itself. This is the parent tag that surrounds every other tags. We have the head tag. In the HTML tag, we have two sections. We have the head tag and the body tag. So the head tag, this head tag we have here is actually related to the browser, so it's a part where you won't be able to see. But the body tag, which is the second section of the HTML, which is our body tag, which is our parent tag, the body tag is the part where you'll be able to see what is being written or what is being structured in your web page. So we have the header tag. There are actually 6 of them. We have the H1, H2, H3, H4 to H6, and we also have the paragraph tag. Yeah, this is just the B tag. We have the div. The div tag is the most used tag of all HTML tags, and we also have the span. This is an inline tag. Okay, before I go on, there are actually two kinds of tags. We have the block tag and we have the inline tag. I'll be showing you this so that you know, so that you understand the difference between these two kinds. And finally, we have the image tag, which is a self-closing tag. As you can see here, this tag does not have an opening tag and it doesn't have a closing tag, just like the rest. It is just a self-closing tag, and it is a tag used in displaying the images you see on web pages. This is what does the work. So now let's go back to the previous slide. So here we'll be talking about the element. So what's the major difference between an element and a tag? As you can see, it's just one thing. There's just one thing that differentiates an element from a tag. So an element is more of it is an advanced form of an HTML tag because of just one thing. If you notice, previously in our tags we have just the opening tag and the closing tag, but in elements we have the opening tag, we have a content in between it, and we also have a closing tag, so which makes up the three parts of a tag, of an HTML tag. So as you can see, this is just an advanced form of an ordinary tag in HTML. So the next part is the element, the attributes. So now I need you to take note. The attribute is always located in the first opening tag of an element. As you can see here, this is the opening tag. The opening tag doesn't have a forward slash. Let's go to the element so I can explain better. So this is the opening tag, this is the content, and this is the closing tag. So the attribute is always located inside of this opening tag, inside of each of the opening tags. For example, this src here is an attribute. It is an attribute of an image tag, and it is actually used to give additional information to a particular tag or element. So now, if you can, let's look at the different types of attribute that we may have for any type of tag. Now, for the p tag has this style. every tag has the style attribute, and this style attribute is actually used to give an inline design. If, like, let's say you want to style this particular tag, now this p tag called paragraph tag, you can just have an inline style, which is this attribute we have here, So this style now is providing a border, and it's saying that let this border be 1 pixels solid, and let the color of that border be black. So this is providing an additional information or an additional thing to this p tag. We also have another tag, we also have another attribute called width. So this width is actually used, I believe you can guess what this really means, but let me just explain. So this width means that, let's say for this div now, remember a div is an object, so let's say you want to increase the width of this div, like you want to increase the size of it. It could be like, as we have the width here, we can as well just have the height as well, but I didn't include that. But let's just say you want to increase the size of this div tag now, so we use the width. So we also have a title. So a title attribute is actually is used to add an additional information to a particular tag. So as you can see, anytime you hover on an object or a text in a web page, something pops up. That thing that pops up is called a title, which gives it an additional information pertaining to that particular text. I'll be showing you all of this when we get into our text editor, which is the VS Code we installed in the last video. And the last one, I think I explained this in the last one. So here we have the image tag that has the src. Src represents source. So this src is an attribute for the image tag, and it is actually used to add an image to our web page. And as you can from what I said earlier, it is also a self-closing tag. So I believe you've learned a lot from this. And here from this point on, we'll be going into our VS Code so that I can show you what these things really do. Before we move on into our text editor, which is the VS Code, let me quickly explain the second question and the third. Okay, what are the use cases for HTML? Okay, this is a question relating to what is HTML used for. So an HTML, as we all know, or as I have showed you, it is used to develop or build a web application or a website. Another use case is that we can actually utilize HTML in order to format text, or majorly text, just the way we do with the Microsoft Word. So that's another use case. And I think the last use case is we can, for some websites that are ready, there are some features that allow a user to be able to embed links that link you to other websites from that particular website. So that's another use case. So for the last part, which is what are the parts of an HTML tag, I would like to ask you guys a question. Just give me the answer in the comment area of this video. And I know it's something I've already explained, so what are the parts of an HTML tag? So just give me the answer there. So now we'll be moving into our VS Code. Let me just go to let's go into our file explorer, look for the folder, the dummy folder we created in our web dev folder that has everything related to coding. So this is my own web dev. You also created one earlier. So let's go into dummy, and this is dummy, right? So in this dummy, okay, before we go into dummy, so I'm going to open this dummy folder with my VS Code. So just click on the dummy folder and right click, then you'll see open with code. So this will open the dummy folder with VS Code. Okay, so we are waiting for our VS Code to open up, and from there will fire up. All right, here we have our VS Code ready, and we'll be making reference to the HTML we created earlier, or we could as well just create another one, but I think making reference to this would be better. Alright, let's just create another one. So in this, just call this first tutorial. Okay, and in this first tutorial I'm going to pass in all these ones, move them into the first tutorial. Yes, move. So now we have them in here. So now let's create another folder. Now I need you to learn this first. Now if you notice something happening here, I have my first tutorial highlighted. So if I click on this folder icon now, whatever folder I try creating is going to be created inside this first tutorial, but I don't want that. I want to separate everything. I just want to separate everything so that it looks organized. So now instead of creating it inside this first tutorial, just click outside of, just click out like this and click on the folder. Then you have another folder, as siblings to the first, or as a sibling to the first tutorial. So now I'm going to create, and I'm going to name this intro to HTML. So in this intro to HTML, I'm going to create a file. If you notice, I click on this first, then I click on the file icon. So I'm going to call this intro.html, and here we have the HTML file open. So here we can use the extension. We created extensions in the last video, so we can use this extension to actually get our things easier. So here we're gonna be getting the boilerplate, so we can as well just write this ourselves, but it takes time, and this is a better way of doing it. So here we're gonna just click on your shift key, hold it down, and click on your exclamation mark and just click on enter. So here we have our boilerplate for the HTML file. So initially I opened this, so I'm going to close this so that you will learn what I will be doing when I click on this later. So let me just go to this, and okay, so I'm just going to close this guy here and go back to my VS Code. So now as I explained in the slides, the HTML tag is the parent tag to every other tags, and inside of this HTML tag we have two sections, always two sections, no three, always two, no one, always two. So in these sections, or rather these sections are the head tag and the body tag. So if you notice something, me clicking on this HTML tag, that's the opening tag, now I also have the closing tag highlighted, so meaning that the head tag and the body tag are inside of this HTML tag. So I can give it an indentation so that it makes more sense. So this is it. This is my parent tag, and this is my head tag and my body tag inside of this HTML tag, which is the parent tag to every other tags. And I explained earlier that the head tag is a part of the HTML document that users would see, or a particular user won't see. So but there is a part we can change that the user would see, and that's just the title part. So I can name this introduction to, let's say, HTML. Right now, when I click on this go live, which is the live server extension we installed earlier, we would have something like this. So can you see, yeah, this is the title, introduction to HTML. The title tag I edited just now, which is this here. If I remove the HTML right now, you'll see the changes. Can you see introduction to? Now I'm going to just put it back HTML, and as you can see we have the HTML. So this is the title tag inside of the head tag in our web page. So this is our web page anyways. So now this is the body tag, and inside of this body tag I'm going to be explaining the header tags. And these header tags, we have 6 types of header tags, and the header tags are actually used for giving header to a particular content you want to talk about. Let's say you have a particular topic you want to talk about, so for an introduction we make use of the header tags, and we have 6 of them. And for example, let's go back to this. As you can see, the font size for this list here is different from the font size. Okay, let's make use of this. The font size for this list here is different from the font size for this particular one. So this one you have here, where you have the HTML element, is actually the header. So we make use of this to introduce a particular thing. So now let's introduce the h1, right? And we also, remember, we have 6 of them, so we have, let me just copy this. Now to copy, instead of you highlighting then clicking on this, looking for copy, and then you paste, you don't have to do that here in HTML or in any, as long as you are into programming, there are better ways to do all of this stuff. So all you need to do is hold down your control key and click on copy. That's the C key, right? Now after doing that, still hold down your control key and click on V, which is to paste. So paste it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 6 of these, right? So this H1 is the first one. Now we have H2, which is the second one. Oh, H2 actually. So the third one is going to be H3. The fourth one is going to be H4. The fifth one is going to be H5, and the last one we have the H6. So now if you go to our browser now, you won't see anything. Why? Because we haven't included a content in between our opening and closing tag of the header tags. So now let's do that. So instead of doing this one at a time, I can pass in a single content to all these tags at the same time. So all I need to do is go into the first one, hold down your Alt key. As you can see, the cursor here is live, it is blinking, right? That's the first one. Then locate your Alt key on your keyboard, hold it down, then click on each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can you see? Now I can actually type the same word in all the header tags. So we have hello world, and I can just put an exclamation if you want to. So if you don't want to, you can take that out. So now let's go back to our browser and see what we have there. So as you can see, we have the head, we have the this is the H1, this is H2, this is H3, H4, 5, and 6. So H1 is actually the highest, and it has different font size from every other one, and every other one has their own font size as well, or font sizes, whatever it's called. So that's just the introduction to the H1. Now let's move on to the other ones. I think we have the paragraph tag. So this paragraph tag is actually used to provide a longer text, even if it's short, but for paragraph mostly. So let's say, remember we installed a Lorem Ipsum extension. So instead of typing, just typing, let's just use the Lorem. So here I'm just going to say Lorem. Can you see Lorem? Yeah. If I click on this, I have this. So this is this is actually a content, right? So let's go into our browser, and you can see Lorem. So this is a text. This is a p tag, right? And inside of this p tag we have the Lorem, which is a content in between the opening and the closing tag of that p tag. So this is our text, and this is what p tags look like. So as you can see, p tag doesn't have the same font size as the headers, and it still doesn't have the same style because each header tag has a bold style, but the p tag doesn't have a bold a bold style. So just like when we make reference to the, for example, let's go back to, no, let's not go back to that. So that's just that for the lorem. Now let's go to the next one, and the next one we have div. Now I told you div is actually the most used tag among every other tag in HTML. I can get the same thing I have for the p tag with div. So now let's do the same thing. So now I'm just going to say div, right? Enter. Now in between these, I'm just going to introduce lorem again and press enter. Now let's go back to our browser. What can we see? I'm gonna refresh this. Yeah. So can you see we have the same thing, we have the same style, we have everything is just looking the same thing except for the length. This is the second one is more lengthy than the first one. So this is just so we can as well make use of div to represent an header as well, but the major difference is that for us to make a div an header, we need to style it, we need to give it some border, we need to give it some font size that is going to be the same with this one we have here. So that's for the div. So let's move on to span. So the span tag this time around is an inline tag. Remember I explained this earlier, and the difference between an inline tag and a block tag is that, for example, look at these things here. Of the h1, h2, all the headers are block tags. Even the p tag is a block tag, and the div. Now let me explain something here. As you can notice, or as you can see, or as you notice, we have the h1, right? We have the h2, we have the h3. So look at this thing now. Since we have h1 and the content is not even much, the content is not spanning through all these empty spaces we have here, why can't we have this h2 here, h3 here, h4 like that? The reason why we won't have that is because block tags don't work that way. Block tags maintain a single line throughout. They don't allow other tags to be beside them. But for inline, it is possible to have a tag here, and it is also possible to have another tag beside it. So now, or let me just say, having two or more tags on the same line. That's what inline is all about. So let's just create an inline. That will be a span tag. Let's just give it a lorem of, let's say lorem of 5, so that it won't be much. Now let's duplicate this. Okay, so in here, the first one, let me just give it 1, so I'll see the difference. We have 2 and this is 3. So when we go to our browser, as you can see, we have the first one, lorem, which is the first one, that's the first span. We have the second span, and we have the third span. So this is the work of a tag that is an inline tag. So this is what an inline tag is all about. So for the final tag, which is the img tag for image, or let me correct myself there. So what this is that in HTML we have a lot of tags. We have the section tags, which I haven't spoken about. We have the article tags. We have a lot of tags. So these are just the basic tags, and one of the most used tags that we have in HTML. So now let's move forward with the image tags now. The image tag. So for the img tag, The img tag is actually used for images. If you want to add an image, that's the img. So we have attributes. Remember we spoke about attributes earlier. So attributes are always, remember I also mentioned img to be a self-closing tag. As you can see here, it only has an opening tag, it doesn't have a closing tag. And inside of the opening tag we have the src attribute and the alt attribute. Now the src is used to link this tag with a particular image. So I'm going to look for an image this time around. Let me look for an image here. Okay, let me get this image. No, I think this is better. Okay, so this image I'm going to have here. Now it's actually not good to just put things anywhere in your VS Code. You need to organize them well. So instead of just putting my image there, I'm just going to have a media file where I'm going to have all my images, documents, videos, whatever it is will be in my image, in my media file. So I'm going to rename this and I'll call this yamdog. Okay. All right, since we have our image, which is the yamdog, I'm going to link it here. So I'm just going to say media, or instead of using relative, let me use absolute linking. So we have this and we have media. I'll be talking about the linking later. Let's just move forward with this because there are a lot of things to learn. So now let's look at our browser and we can see the image here. Look at this pretty dog, Bella. This is my French dog actually. Okay, now for this dog, the same as what's it called, span image img tag is also an inline tag. That is the reason why we have it beside that is the reason why we have it beside the lorem. We have it beside the, I think, where is it? Okay, it's actually under. So as you can see, we have the first lorem, we have the second lorem, we have the third lorem, then we have the image. And this is because the image is also an inline tag. So let me give this image a width attribute. Remember we talked about width attribute. So let me just say I give it like 20, and I also have height. So and I'm also giving this probably maybe 20. So this is gonna reduce, as you can see. This is our little image here. This is our dog here, and it is just after the third span tag, and this is happening because the image tag, the img tag, is also an inline tag. So I'm going to increase this. I can as well just bring this img to the next line using the break tag. So using this, I'm going to have this here, and I can as well do the same for each and every span that we have at the top. So I'm just going to say we have BR and BR here. So as you can see, each one we have 1, 2, 3. These are all our span tags, but they are each of them is on a new line because of the break tag we are using. This is another self-closing tag, and it is also very useful, very useful. I use it a lot while building a website or a web application. So this is this. Remember we spoke about title attributes. So I'm just going to put in the title attribute in here. So I'm going to call the title, and in here I'm just going to say greeting the world, right? Let me make this capital G. Okay, capital G actually. So now when I hover on this first guy here, remember I have my title on this H1, right? When I hover on this guy here, the title is going to pop up. Now let's do this. Can you see? Greeting the world. So that's what the title is all about. It's adding additional information to this each one I'm having at the top. And for this what's it called, for my image, for this dog image, remember we have the width and height. So this is not just adding additional information to my img file, it is also giving it additional behavior. So it's making it to increase in size. Let's make this, instead of 20, let's make it probably like 100 and have a bigger size of for dog. The height, I think the height should probably be like 150, so it makes more sense, right? Or let's make it like 200. Okay, no, it's fine. Now, for example, let's say I accidentally spelled the dog name. Now, if I do this mistake, my image will go, hey wait, I won't have any image here. But instead of just having this here, a broken image, we have this alt attribute here, just in case our image doesn't surface. So we can just say dog, or let's just say my dog, my lovely dog. So by doing this, we have something that represents the image, because without the alt attribute, when you have just a broken image here, you'll be wondering, okay, this image is broken, but what does this image really represent? But with the alt, you have a text that says what this image represents. Or having my lovely dog here signifies that, oh, this image could have been an image of a dog. So that's just that for the alt. Now let's look for the style. So in here I'm going to show you what inline styling is all about. Okay, so we have the style attribute as well. So in here I'm just going to give it a color, and this color is going to be probably red. Red is so obvious, so we're going to have red. So as you can see, this is what we call inline styling using the style attribute. We also have three types. We have the inline, we have the internal, and we also have the external. So I'll be talking about those, or should we just do that now? Okay, let's just do that now. So instead of having my style here, I can bring it out. It's actually good to have your style outside of the tags. So instead of having it, I can put it, if you notice, I'm inside the head tag this time around, not inside the body tag. Remember, the body tag is the part where a user sees, but the head tag is the part where the user doesn't see. So I'm going to put my style tag here. This is another tag called style, so we can use the style for styling whichever tag we want. So we have a selector, so I'm just going to select the H2, then open a curly bracket and give it the color red. So we still have the same thing as before, right? So this is what we call internal styling. So we have the external styling, and we make use of, let me comment this out, we make use of the link tag for the external styles. So all we just need to do is, in here we need to create another file for our style. So we can call it index.css, or let's just give it intro.css. So I'm going to link this intro.css file, I'm going to link it with the intro.html file this time around. So just how do I do that? All I need to do is just, in this particular, okay, let me not do that. So I'm just going to say intro.css. So I've linked it up, right? Now going back, I can just locate my h2 and just say color is going to be, if you look at this now, this doesn't have any color, but if I just go color equals to red, or color colon red, I have the same thing. So this is what we call external styling. The styling is not inside my HTML as we did with the inline and the internal. This is what external styling is all about. I'm going to be giving, or going to go in detail when we get to the stage, but this is just an introduction to what this is all about. Okay, for the image, let's just round this up. We've spoken about the tags, the most common tags. We've spoken about the attributes. We've spoken about the title, the style attributes. We've also introduced new tags, which is the style tag and the link tag. We've also spoken about the image. Let me have another image here. Let's bring in another image. Let's use this cat. Okay, and this cat is going to be inside of. Okay, before I do that, let me just click on this guy here and bring in the cat and put it in here. So in my, we have two images, right? So I'm just going to name this. Let me name this. Gonna name this cat. Okay. So in this cat, I'm going to create another img, right? And I'm going to locate this guy here, media, and I'm going to locate the cat web p. So here I'm just going to say web. I'm going to call this cat image just in case if this breaks. So I'm going to bring this back as well. Okay, so I have this, and that's that. So let's go back to our browser. As you can see, we have the image. we have this. There's the first image. This is the second image, and remember they are on the same line because an image tag is an inline tag. So I hope I've explained this very well. So I also hope you also got it. So this is this, and so alright, we've come to the end of this episode, and I'm gonna be dropping other videos relating to you becoming a full stack developer. There are a lot of libraries, a lot of things I'm gonna be doing. We're gonna be treating Python programming language. I know most of you have heard about Python and you want to learn Python, so definitely we're gonna be treating Python, JavaScript, CSS, and so many libraries, so many tools. So all I need you to do is like and subscribe to this channel if you want to get more content from me, of course. So I really thank you for the time. God bless.